This is part 23, and in this part we intend to start dealing with last offense whereby a person is deprived of his property, and that is defined by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code, which defines the offense of cheating. Now, as usual, we start with an illustration. Somebody came to me. I had bare act of the Indian Penal Code with me. He requested me that, well, you can you spare this bare act for a period of 24 hours? Before tomorrow you start delivering a lecture, I shall see that bare act with you, because I know that you don't enter the class, or you don't teach without having bare act for ready reference, for the simple reason, if at all it is necessary for you to refer to, there must be, it must be readily available with you, because this is your firm belief that a teacher should not commit mistake in a class. Once a mistake is committed by the teacher in the class, that is carried forward forever. So I know it, I will return it within a period of 24 hours. I said, no problem. Tomorrow, before I start dealing with the provisions of section 400, next section, please see that you give it to me. He said, absolutely don't worry. Before that, I shall see that the bare act is in your hand. And he takes away the bare act. And what happens? When he told me that he shall be returning that bare act within a period of 24 hours, it was, never returned to me. And he had no intention to return it to me. What is his liability is the question for our consideration. Now, I had given book to him. But now, can it be said that he had taken that book with my consent? The answer is in the negative, because this is the time for us to have reference to what? Section 19. And what it says, if the consent is given under misconception of facts, and person doing the act knows or has reason to believe that the consent was given because of misconception, that is not at all a valid consent. In other words, he has taken that book with what is known as a wrongful consent as far as Indian Penal Code is concerned. And then what is his liability? We came across a situation when we were discussing section 383 of the Indian Penal Code, which defines the offense of extortion, that the property was taken. I had given property to somebody, or businessman had given money to those who had kidnapped his son. In that case, this is also the consent, which is not at all valid consent, because the consent is obtained under fear of injury. Here, if this fact would have been known to me that he is not going to return that book to me, I would not have parted with the book. I parted with the book with this belief that he is going to, he will keep his word, and hence this amounts to, now what is his state of the mind? He has done this act fraudulently. In order to commit the offense of theft, intention must be dishonest at the time of moving the property. In order to commit the offense of cheating, as defined by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code, the intention, the act must be done fraudulently is the state of the mind, namely mens rea, as it is. To understand
what do you mean by fraudulently, if you go back and start reading general explanations, you come across section 25. And if you read section 25, it says a person is said to do a thing fraudulently if he does that thing with intent to defraud, but not otherwise. So now, in order to know fraudulently, you must know what do you mean by defraud. Now, defraud is nowhere defined in the Indian Penal Code, nowhere it has been defined. Hence, what you will have to do? You will have to, if you go through the commentaries as far as this is concerned, or if you go through the decided case law, you come to know that it can be said that the act is done with intent to defraud, provided two ingredients are fulfilled. One ingredient is that the person must practice deception, and it's not mere deception, but that deception must result into causing of an injury. So if the deception results into causing of an injury, then it can be said that it is done fraudulently on the part of an individual. Now, as the person who came to me and took away my bare act for a period of 24 hours when he had no intention to return, what he has done, he had deceived me,
and that resulted into a wrongful loss to me as far as my property is concerned, and hence he has committed the offence of cheating as defined by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code. Now this is the section which does not merely deal with the property, though it is included as far as offences against property is concerned, and this is the illustration which explains how somebody has deprived me of my book by telling me that he is going to return, or he will return it but he doesn't want to return it. Liability is for the offence of cheating. But as you start reading section 415, you will come to know it says, whoever by deceiving any person fraudulently or dishonestly induces the person so put in fear, so deceived. So, whoever by deceiving any person fraudulently or dishonestly induces the person so deceived to deliver any property to any person, or to consent that any person shall retain any property, this is the first part, or intentionally induces the person so deceived to do or omit to do anything which he would not do or omit if he are not so deceived, and which act or omission causes or is likely to cause damage or harm to that person in body, mind, reputation or property, is said to cheat. When you need a ticket for the purpose of entering, say, a tent of the circus, or you need a ticket to enter the platform, you must have a platform ticket. You go there, and then without purchasing the ticket, you tell the person that you are from CID department and it's urgent for you to enter, and hence you enter. What you have done? Actually, you are not from CID department. So you have deceived, and the deception has resulted into allowing you entry into it. So by practicing deception, if that results into causing of an injury, liability of an individual is for the offence of cheating as per section 415. The section is required to be classified under two different heads. One, does deception results into delivery of a property or retention of the property? This is the first part. And as far as the second part is concerned, it says, or intentionally induces the person so deceived to do or omit to do anything which he would not do or omit if you are not so deceived, and which act or omission causes or likely to cause damage or harm to that person in body, mind, reputation or property, amounts to the offence of cheating. And the explanation to the section makes it clear. Dishonest concealment of a fact is a deception within the meaning of this section. So if you want to, if you are selling a milk which is not at all a pure milk, and then somebody came, you sell the milk. Now he has not asked you whether it is pure or not, but you are expected to sell a pure milk, and hence if you don't tell him that I am not selling pure milk, this is exactly dishonest concealment of the fact, is a deception within the meaning. So you have the one who has sold out the milk under the banner, by saying that it is a pure milk, and when it is not at all a pure milk, without saying also, it is implied, no doubt about it, because that is a duty which has been cast. And then the liability of an individual is for the offence of cheating as defined by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code. Now there are many illustrations which are given in the book or to which you come across in day-to-day life. A wanted to raise loan, and in order to raise loan, he wanted to place something, because he went to each and every friend and they said, give us some security. So he went to the market and purchased a ring which was not a real diamond ring, but which the stone resembled that of a diamond. And then he went to the friend and told friend that, well, it's a diamond ring, you pay me 25,000 rupees, and then if I don't don't pay within a period of 8 days or so, you will become owner of this particular ring. He thought the diamond ring is worth 2 lakhs rupees, and why not to get it? And with this, whatever may be the idea, but then he parted. And afterwards it was found out that it was not at all a diamond ring, but it was a ring which was a fake, and hence now it was artificial. His liability is for the offence of cheating as defined by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code. When you come to me and you borrow some money with the intention or by making me to believe that you are going to return that, and then you don't return, your liability, when I gave the money under this impression and I parted with it, your liability is for the offense of cheating. When you want to sell some article as an imported article and put a brand, label on it which is not at all actually in fact imported, your liability is for the offense of cheating as far as section 415 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. You sell your immovable property to somebody which is already sold by you without telling him that you have already sold it. What is your liability? Your liability is for the offense of cheating as far as section 415 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. This is exactly, if you give a check to somebody, draw a check in favor of somebody, when you don't have balance to create balance to honor that check as far as your account in the bank is concerned, then also your liability is for the offense of cheating as far as section 415 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. If somebody, by putting a counterfeit mark on the article, intentionally deceives somebody into belief that the article was made by a certain celebrated manufacturer and thus dishonestly induces him to buy and pay for it, this amounts to cheating as defined by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code. Now, there can be cases where the person, for example, you make a person to believe that you are a particular person. For example, Mr. A went to the shop, he told the shop that he is a great businessman, and then he wanted to purchase something for which he had no cash, but he was supposed to pass on a negotiable instrument, and actually that was done by him. Actually he was not a businessman, and hence this is all the cases where somebody wanted to appear for the examination, and because he had not studied, he asked somebody else to appear in his place. Now this amounts to the offer. You make the authorities believe that you are Mr. A, but actually in fact you are not Mr. A, you are Mr. B. This is what is exactly known as cheating by personation as dealt by next section, namely section 416 of the Indian Penal Code. And section 416 of the Indian Penal Code it reads as follows: a person is said to cheat by personation if he cheats by pretending to be some other person, or by knowingly substituting one person for another, or representing that he or any other person is a person other than he or such other person really is. The explanation says the offense is committed whether the individual personated is a real or imaginary person. Now the illustration says A cheats by pretending to be a certain rich banker of same name. A cheats by personation. A cheats by pretending to be a person who is deceased. A cheats by personation. And then right from section 470 up to section 420 are the sections which deal with punishment, out of which section 420 says whoever cheats and thereby dishonestly induces the person deceived to deliver any property to any person, or to make or alter or destroy the whole or any part of the valuable security, or anything which is signed or sealed and which is capable of being converted into a valuable security, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for term which may extend to 7 years, and shall also be liable to fine. As far as this section is concerned, so right from section 417 onwards are the sections which deal with punishment. And as usual, I have told you, we shall be concentrating, or you should also concentrate from the point of view of understanding. What is cheating? Read section 415. What is cheating by personation? Read section 416. That serves the purpose. Now, when we say that a person is required, person must be deceived. And then if, for example, Mr. A knew that Mr. B is going to sell a milk which is never a pure milk, to which he adds water. It is always diluted with the help of the water and sold out. Or he sells something which is adulterated. With this in mind, now A wanted B to be punished by the court of law, and hence he went to him to purchase. He purchased that, and then this was sent to the analyzer for the purpose of analysis, he got the report of it and then wanted to proceed against him. Now what is his liability? Can it be said that Mr. B sold him milk under the impression that it is a pure milk, but actually in fact it was not pure milk? What is liability of Mr. B? And there we say the intention of Mr. B was to commit the offense of cheating. There was a preparation. He had taken a milk to which he had added water, and he wanted to sell that as if it was a pure milk. So there was a preparation. He had sold out the milk. So whatever was required to be done on the part of Mr. B is done by him. But whether he is successful, the answer is negative, because deception is a bilateral act. A who went to purchase a milk was knowing that he is going to purchase impure milk and not a pure milk, to which he has added a water. And hence now we say whatever was required to be done on the part of Mr. B, if it is done by him, but if he is not successful as far as the offense of cheating is concerned, but he has crossed the stage of preparation and entered the stage of what is known as entry. And exactly this is what we say liability of Mr. B is for the offense of attempt to cheat. When you want to enter the tent of a circus and you wait there so that the doorkeeper should go from this side to that side anywhere, and you enter, when you enter and you commit some offense, but you have not committed the offense of cheating, because here you have not deceived any money, unless state of the mind is what is known as fraudulently. And what is fraudulently? With intent to defraud. And what is with intent to defraud? You must practice deception which must result into causing of an injury. Then only the person is liable as far as section 415 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, otherwise not. If the other illustrations as you read, A intentionally deceives Z into a belief that A has performed A's part of the contract made with Z, which he has not performed, and thereby dishonestly induces Z to pay money. A cheats. He has not done his part of the contract, but he compels him to pay the amount, and then his liability is for the offense of cheating as dealt by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code. So this is the last section. The manner in which a person is deprived of his property determines criminal liability. It may be theft, it may be extortion, it may be robbery, it may be dacoity, it may be dishonest misappropriation of property, it may be a criminal breach of trust, or it may be cheating as defined by section 415 of the Indian Penal Code accordingly. Now, with this we come to one more section as far as the offenses against property is concerned, and that is, if you come to me and you ask for my book, I hand over my book to you, and what you do, you set fire to my book. What is your liability? And then if somebody sets fire to my book, or somebody tears my book into 511 pieces, or what is his liability? And then the liability is for the offense of mischief as defined by section 425 of the Indian Penal Code. And what it says, whoever with intent to cause or knowing it to be likely to cause wrongful loss or damage to the public or to any person causes destruction of the property or change in the property or in the situation thereof which diminishes its value or affects it injuriously commits mischief. As in case of cheating, the point that we have to also take into consideration, cheating can be committed with respect to movable, subject matter of cheating can be movable as well as immovable property. Similarly, there can be destruction of a movable property or there can be destruction of immovable property also. And if this has resulted into wrongful loss or damage because of what? Destruction of the property, can I go change in the property or in the situation thereof, that amounts to the offense of mischief as defined by section 425 of the Indian Penal Code. Right from section 426 up to section 440 are the sections which deal with punishment. And then once you understand what is mischief, the illustration I gave you regarding book, or somebody has shown that he had purchased a valuable ring. It is shown to you, and then you take the ring and throw it into the well. What is your liability? Or he has shown you a check, and you tear that check into 4 pieces. What is your liability? So under such circumstances, offense of mischief can be committed with respect to movable or immovable property. And then what is what is the liability of if your act results into wrongful loss or damage, because it says whoever with intent to cause or knowing that he is likely to cause wrongful loss or damage to the public or to any person, causes destruction of the property, change in the property or in the situation thereof. The liability of an individual is for the offense of mischief. Now for this if you read 2 explanations which are with the help of which it is possible for you to understand the section. Now if it happens that A is standing in front of the bungalow of Mr. B, which is newly painted, and then he takes a wet mud and start throwing that wet mud into the direction of the bungalow. And when he is asked what he was doing, he says, well, this is modern art. Now you can, if it is modern art from your point of view, you can do with respect to your bungalow, but not with respect to bungalow of anybody else. Otherwise, what is the result of it? You cause wrongful loss or damage to the public or to any person by destruction. Here there is no destruction of the property, but carrying out change in the property, and then which diminishes its value or affects it injuriously. Hence that amounts to the offense of mischief as far as section 425 of the. This is the manner. As you go on reading the illustrations which are given, as you go on reading the reading the section and trying to find out what are the ingredients, as you understand the ingredient, you can have your own illustrations also from the point of view of understanding the particular ingredient with which you are dealing. Imagine a situation. This is the manner in which you can proceed. If somebody is eating wafers, potato wafers, A is eating wafers, B takes one wafer and runs away with the wafer. What is his liability? Now, if you read section 378 of the Indian Penal Code, you will immediately come to know he is liable for the offense of theft defined by section 378 of the Indian Penal Code, because all ingredients, I need not repeat the ingredients, this is the time for you to revise and you will find out all ingredients of section 378 of the Indian Penal Code are fulfilled. Yes, but now Mr. A is having a dish of wafers with him. B came, took out one wafer, crumbled and again kept it in the same dish. What is his liability? Now he is liable for the offense of mischief defined by section 425 of the Indian Penal Code, because what he has done, his intention was to cause wrongful loss or damage because of the destruction of the property or carrying out change in the property. One piece is crumbled and then this is change in the property which diminishes its value or affects it injuriously, constitutes liability as far as section 425 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. So this is the case. Now let me tell you, these technically if you merely go by technicalities, yes, these are the offences that have taken place with respect to the wafer, but when this matter will go to the court of law, the person will not be held liable because his case will be protected as per section 95 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, with which we shall be dealing when we deal with general exception, which is based on the maxim de minimis non curat lex, which means law takes no account of trifles. And if you read section 95 says nothing is an offense by reason that it causes or that is intended to be caused or that is known to be caused any harm, if that harm is so slight that no person of ordinary sense and temper would complain of such harm, details with which we shall be dealing. But this is the manner in which you should start correlating the section, so it becomes very easy for you to understand. So this is as far as section 425 with which we have started our discussion. Now, first explanation to section 425 says, it is not essential to the offense of mischief that the offender should intend to cause loss or damage to the owner of the property injured or destroyed, it is sufficient if he intends to cause or knows that he is likely to cause wrongful loss or damage to any person by injuring any property, whether it belongs to that person or not. So he may not be knowing. For example, Mr. A is taking his cattle for the purpose of grazing and then allows cattle to enter the field of Mr. B where the crop is ready without knowing that it is B's field, and the animals start grazing over there. What is his liability? His liability is for the offense of mischief. You set fire, for example, you kill neighbor's dog, you kill neighbor's cat, you kill neighbor's horse, you kill neighbor's buffalo. All this right from section 426, because it's a property, and when there is destruction of the property, as you read right from section 426 up to section 440, you will come to know that this is the offense of mischief, where the punishment is likely to differ as per the subject matter of the destruction of the property accordingly. So a first explanation says, it is not essential to the offense of mischief that the offender should intend to cause loss or damage to the owner of the property injured or destroyed. It is sufficient if he intends to cause or knows that he is likely to cause wrongful loss or damage to any person by injuring any property, whether it belongs to that person or not. So that is as far as the first explanation is concerned. Now the second explanation to the section is is it possible that a person who is owner of the property is convicted when he destroys his own property can be convicted for the offense of mischief? And now if it is my property, that is my liberty, I can do anything with respect to my property. I will preserve it, no doubt about it, or I will destroy it. Nobody can tell me what I should do with respect to my property. So if I have destroyed my property, whether I can be held liable for the offense of mischief as far as section 425 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, is to be understood by having reference to second explanation to the section. We said mischief may be committed by an act affecting property belong to the person who commits the act or that person and others jointly. And if you read the read the illustration which has given, illustration G, it says, A, having joined property with Z in horse, shoots the horse, intending thereby to cause wrongful loss to death. A has committed mischief. So when you are a joint owner and you destroy the property, that results into wrongful loss to the other owner, and hence your liability is for the offense of mischief as far as section 425 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. The other situation may be where A has filed a suit against Mr. B to recover 50,000 rupees. Decree is passed in favor of Mr. A. Now A proceeds as per order 21 of the Civil Procedure Code, namely execution proceedings. Now the court has passed an order that, well, let B's property be, B's movable property be attached and sold at an auction sale. So that tomorrow the bailiff, namely the public servant, will come to attach the property, and what is done by Mr. B during night hours? In order to deprive Mr. A of the same, he has set fire to his own property during night hours, but this setting fire to the property, namely the furniture, during night hours has resulted into wrongful loss to Mr. A, and hence even if the person destroys his own property, if that results into wrongful loss or damage to the public or to any other person, here it has resulted into wrongful loss to Mr. A, and hence we say Mr. Mr. B is liable for the offense of mischief even though he has destroyed his own property as far as section 425 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. With this now, if you go on casually, it's not, as I told you, not necessary for you, but even if you start going through the sections, you will come to know 426 deals with punishment for mischief. Section 427 deals with mischief causing damage to the amount of 50 rupees. Section 428 mischief by killing or maiming animal of the value of 10 rupees. 429 mischief by killing or maiming cattle etc. of any value or any animal of the value of 50 rupees. Section 430 mischief by injury to the works of irrigation. Section 431, mischief by injury to the public road, bridge, river or canal. Section 432, mischief by causing inundation or obstruction of public drainage attended with damage. Section 433, mischief by destroying, mowing or rendering less useful a lighthouse or sea mark. Section 434, mischief by destroying or moving, etc., a landmark fixed by public authority. Section 435, mischief by fire or explosive substance with intent to cause damage to the amount of 100, or in case of agricultural produce 10 rupees. Section 436, mischief by fire or explosive substance with intent to destroy house. Section 437, mischief with intent to destroy or make unsafe deck, vessel or one of 20 tons burden. Section 438, mischief punishment for the mischief described in Section 437 committed by fire or explosive substance. Section 439, punishment for intentionally running vessel around a shore with intent to commit theft. And 440 deals with mischief committed after preparation made for causing death or hurt. You set fire to the standing crop. If somebody sets fire to the hut, if somebody sets fire to the building, if somebody kills anybody's animal by giving poison to the animal, all these illustrations come under as far as section when you attack property, railway property, when you attack, for example, public property, your liability is for the offense of mischief as defined by section 400. So, first part of this chapter deals with when this person is deprived of his property, whereas the second part, part in which case there is only one section when there is destruction of the property, carrying out change in the property amounts to the offense of mischief as defined by section 425 of the Indian Penal Code. With this, we intend to start with the last part as far as this chapter is concerned, where we intend to take into consideration the various offences where a person is deprived of the quiet and peaceful enjoyment of the property, of course dealing with what do we mean by immovable property, with which we will continue our discussion as far as next part of our lecture is concerned.